Hello, my name is Patrick Leblond. I'm a professor in the Graduate School of Public and International Affairs at the University of Ottawa. I'm here at the University of Victoria for a conference on the comprehensive and economic agreement between Canada and the European Union. I will be speaking later on a panel about the economic implications of CETA. What I would like to discuss with you here in this context is where we're at in terms of the negotiations, the process, and what will be those economic implications and how we can actually realize them, because that's actually a critical component. So we've heard actually throughout the sessions today that an agreement is imminent. It might actually be a question of days. Definitely we are close to the end when it comes to this important agreement. In fact, since NAFTA, CETA is the most important economic and trade agreement for Canada. Because in a way it goes beyond just traditional tariffs and free trade that we know, for instance, under NAFTA, and because it deals with regulatory issues, labor mobility, and others. So it is a much more comprehensive agreement, and the European Union in a way represents the largest economy in the world and our second economic partner. So this is a very important agreement, and when it's signed, it will be a very important moment for Canada and the European Union in terms of their relationship. Now, in terms of the negotiations, what we know so far is that tariffs will be eliminated completely on almost all goods except dairy. Those will be maintained, although quotas will be increased, but these are relatively minor. Except if you're a cheese consumer, you might actually have more choice. Whether you get lower prices, that remains to be seen. We hope that the holders of the quotas and the importers will transfer the lower prices to the consumers, but that remains to be seen. But generally, certainly tariff elimination, the fact that professionals, workers will be able to go to the European Union and vice versa to, in a way, follow business, because what we need to realize is that more and more when companies sell a product, whether you're talking about an airplane sold by Bombardier or even a less complicated machine, often there is after-sales service, there is maintenance, there all that, and if you're not able to send your own engineers, your own technicians, then you have to hire people in the other place, train them, pay them, and often these costs can be quite substantial and put a company at a disadvantage vis-a-vis, let's say, local competitors. So this is an important component that Canadian businesses and European businesses have been fighting for, and it will be in CETA. So that's one major gain. There is also elements of regulatory cooperation, because as we know, regulations represents non-tariff barriers or trade barriers, because if companies have to develop products that satisfy, let's say, the Canadian market and then have to satisfy the European market, they might have to have two different types of products or two different production chains, and that again leads to higher costs and less competitiveness. So if there is regulatory cooperation, mutual recognition of standards, if it's good enough for Canadians, it should be good enough for Europeans and vice versa, then we would benefit here. We should also understand that when we talk about free trade with Europe, it's important both for exports and imports. We hear often in the media that only exports are actually beneficial and imports are not. But in today's world where trade and production is globalized, if a Canadian company can import products or machinery or others more cheaply from the European Union in order to be more competitive in the United States or in China, this is advantageous. So we should not think only in terms of exports are good, imports are bad. Not at all. If it means we have more choice, cheaper products coming into Canada, consumers will benefit, but certainly Canadian businesses. The big challenge in terms of realizing those economic benefits is, in terms of implementation. As we know, the devil is always in the details, and certainly it's not because the agreement will be signed and eventually ratified that everything's over, that the job's done, and now businesses can just go and take advantage of it. When it comes to tariffs, yes, the day the agreement comes into force, those tariffs get eliminated, and then you have free trade in those terms. But when we talk about these non-tariff barriers, regulation, in terms of labor mobility, an important element is to make sure that individuals are able to get the work permits in time. Will the immigration officials be able to deliver those? And what will be the rules in order to satisfy the criteria and all that? We don't know, and we will only find out after the agreement has been signed. The same for professional qualifications. So if an engineer, a lawyer, an accountant, or an architect wants to sell services, say in Europe, how will those qualifications be recognized and vice versa for, let's say, a European engineer? And that will require professional orders in the provinces to actually work together and work with their European counterparts. So the benefits will actually take time before they are realized, and before also Canadian businesses and European businesses take note of CETA and adjust their ways of doing, start exploring new opportunities in both markets. But I think ultimately, if not only we have the agreement, but we keep the momentum and we take advantage of everything that is in there and try to reduce as much as possible the barriers between our two markets, Canadian consumers and Canadian firms will benefit, and ultimately also more wealth and jobs will be created.